Hi, this is Dr. Jen Lisy. This is the first in the series of 4 videos about creating strong selected response items. This presentation is based on the work of my professor, Dr. Carol Myford from the University of Illinois at Chicago. I learned the most about assessment from Dr. Myford. All the good stuff is hers, any errors are mine. So my goals are for you to learn about the different types of items, provide a set of guidelines for writing and critiquing test items of various types, review the advantages and limitations of each item, and introduce some flawed items to discuss how to correct those flaws. You want to learn how to create tests, so you're a more knowledgeable test designer. You want to be more informed and a critical consumer of existing tests. Just because a test appears in publication doesn't mean that it's a good test. This will help you learn what is worth using and what is not worth using. There are 2 general categories of test items: selected response and constructed response. In selected response, students choose from a set of alternative responses, and in constructed response, students must construct from a supply a response to an item. The types of selected items I'll go over are binary choice, which is often true-false, multiple choice, and matching. Types of constructed items we'll talk about are short answer, completion, and essay. That'll be in another set of videos. Why do I need to know about these different types of test items? You need to be able to select the most appropriate type of item for the objectives that you want your students to achieve. Not all items are appropriate for assessing all objectives. You want to match your objectives to the appropriate item types. The type of item you will use depends on the content contained in your objective or standard and the targeted process contained in your objective or standard. What types of items would you use for these objectives? Selected or constructed response? When you're talking about matching, classifying, identifying, and categorizing, like matching the weight to their abbreviations or classifying animals as vertebrates or invertebrates, you're going to use a selected response item. You don't need the students to retrieve the information, you just need them to select it from a list. What type of items would you use for these objectives? Selected or constructed response? When you're talking about describing and labeling and naming and placing numbers on a rational line, naming significant people in the rise of organized labor, then you want them to construct a response. They're going to write down their answer and they're going to retrieve it from their memory. What type of items would you use for these objectives? Selected or constructed response? You're going to use constructed response for these items. When you're asking students to discuss how people's productivity at school, work, or home is affected by their health, when you're asking them to analyze how a particular artwork influenced society in a given time period, or when you're comparing and contrasting the lives of life in city and urban areas, those are all constructed response items, and most likely you're going to use essay responses for these types of items.